Yo, Thought Warriors. What is up? Our learning is on. It is I, Van Lathan Jr.
And it's me, Rachel and Lindsay.
Rachel.
I'm on a high. I am on a high.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to give you a moment while you finish brushing your beard out? Adjusting your hat, fixing your... You ready, Van? You ready to go?
The reality is sometimes you got to pop out and show niggas. You know what I mean?
You did not pop out last night. You could have, but you didn't. Instead, I'd like to take this time to thank Van. Because I'll be honest with you, didn't think you were going to come through. I didn't think you were going to come through. The moment I saw that Kendrick Lamar was going to be performing in LA at the Forum on Juneteenth, I immediately text Van with Kalika on the group text and said, we got to go. Van, you got to get us tickets. Didn't really ask, just demanded. Mm-hmm. And Van's response was, okay, I'll work on it. And he came through. He got us tickets. We had a great view. We had space. Couldn't have been better. Easy, a seamless process. And we had the time of our lives. So I just want to take this time out to say thank you, Van, for providing us such a magnificent experience.
Thank you rating 1.
No apology.
Thank you rating 1. And let me tell you why. A thank you rating 1. Because the first thing you said was, I didn't think you were going to come through. No, you know what? I'm sick of it. I didn't think you were going to come through. I asked a couple of different people because I did not want to bother a friend of mine who I knew could get the tickets, right? Easy. I want to shout out my man Top, TDE.
That's who you didn't want to bother?
I didn't want to bother him. He's a busy man. I didn't want to bother him. He's a great guy. Always been a great guy. Always looked out and been there for me when I had to ask stuff. My career, great dude. I knew he would come through, but I just didn't want to bother him because I realized other people were hitting him up for tickets. I asked a couple other people like, yo, need to. I wasn't going to go. It's just not I'm not a concert guy. Don't matter the concert. I wasn't going to go. But hit my man up. He automatically came through. Literally a day before. So I was like, there you go. You guys go. And you came in here and you said, I didn't think you were going to come through. It's rude, but it's okay.
No.
I'm glad that you guys, I'm glad to, no.
It's not because you can't do it. It's just that this was a really hard show. It sold out immediately when they posted it. I knew everybody would be asking. It's LA. So everybody's going to try to go. And so it's not that you couldn't deliver. It's just that I just knew it was going to be extra hard. And I didn't know if they were going to be doing anybody any favors. But, I didn't know that you knew the top guy. I didn't know you knew the person running TDE. Had you said that, I would have been like, oh, we good.
I've been around for a while. And that's the thing. But look, more importantly, how was the show?
It was so good. It's one of those things where I knew I was going to have a good time because this is the 5th or 6th Kendrick concert that I've been to. Mm-hmm. But I did not understand the gravity of the situation. It didn't really hit me until Kendrick popped on stage and that Teddy Pendergrass latest, greatest inspiration beat dropped. That I realized, oh my gosh, what I'm witnessing is historic. The Forum, LA, the battle that had been ensuing or was not anymore between Drake and Kendrick. The fact that I think we can all agree Kendrick won. The fact that he decided to kind of go on, like put the nail in the coffin with the concert. All of LA uniting. I mean, that came towards the end, but it was an experience, which you don't always get at a concert. And the moment, the energy was electrifying. I mean, I missed DJ Head. Sorry.
Shout out my man DJ Head, man.
Traffic was really bad. Traffic was really bad. We tried to get there, but we did make it for DJ Mustard, and he was continuously bringing on West Coast artists. When Tyler, the Creator, came out, those were the second biggest cheers of the night. People lost their minds when the beat dropped, pretty much for everybody. Then when Kendrick came, rapping every word to a diss track about somebody else, I mean, Not Like Us playing 6 times. It played a lot. It played more than 5. Everybody keeps saying 5. If you were there, it played more than 5. It was incredible. And then to see everybody, I mean, where we were, you could see A-listers enjoying the concerts, like everybody was a fan. Everybody was there to support the moment.
Everybody was a fan.
You're a fan, you're a fan, you're a fan. You're a fan, you're a fan, you're a fan. I have huge Southern pride and I love the South. But man, I wanted to be from the West Coast last night. You couldn't tell me I kind of wasn't from the West Coast last night. It was great. Everybody came for a moment, and that's exactly what it was. It was a moment.
Yeah, I was watching it here at the house. Me and Bozeman. Bozeman was looking at me like, Dad, why are you so excited? Like, what's going on? It's just the TV. But it was an important cultural moment. Sure, it was a victory lap to finish off the beef, but it also was a celebration of LA hip hop and LA culture that's very important. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Drake said something that he should have never said.
Yeah.
He said, I'm bigger in your own city than you. And, I've said this before on the podcast, and I really mean it. He might have felt that way.
No, he might have
felt that way. He might have felt that he's bigger in LA than Kendrick, but he's bigger in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood, West Hollywood, Santa Monica, he's bigger in those spots. But that concert took place in Inglewood. And at the end, it wasn't no Hollywood shit on that stage. That was not Hollywood. That was a cultural celebration of West Coast hip hop dominance, legacy, and the future. When he said, we've been fucked up since Nip died, we've been fucked up since Kobe died. There's some other people in there that the LA hip hop scene has lost, Draco, a couple of other people. It's been a situation to where like people have been wondering whether or not LA hip hop was in a good space. Whether or not there were new artists breaking, whether or not the vibe was where it was. And it's so alive. It's alive and well. And the unity and the respect for each other is alive and well. Mm-hmm. That it just took, like I said, sometimes it just takes the right villain, and Drake was the right villain, man.
Yeah. It's interesting you bring up that point because a lot of people say, well, Kendrick started it when he rapped on the Like That song. But I don't know if we would have had this if Drake hadn't said what he said about LA. I think it sparked something in Kendrick. And the fact we were spending the last podcast guessing who we thought Kendrick would bring. And on stage. And I love that it was only West Coast. Mm-hmm. He didn't make it Hollywood. He didn't do it for the fans or to attract a different audience. It was for LA, and y'all can watch if y'all want to. Y'all can join along if you want to, but he wasn't trying to be anything else that he wasn't, which I also thought was really cool. I'm a big Black hippie fan. So to see them and where we were standing, you could see the people coming up before they did. And I was like grabbing Kalika's arm. I was like, oh my God, that's Ab-Soul. Oh my God, that's J-Rock. Oh my God, that's like, at that point I knew Schoolboy was going to come out, Schoolboy Q, but it was so good. It was so good.
I'm gonna be real. It's I gotta shout out to my people in Toronto, man. Look,
your tweets were so good.
Y'all gotta take these jokes, bruh. Hold on. Let me just be all the way real. Toronto, and I had a friend reach out that's from Toronto. I wanted to bring him on the podcast.
He said no.
Was saying, he said yes, but then I didn't reach back out. I don't know why. I was poking fun at Toronto on Twitter, right? And he reached out and he said to me, he's a good guy, great guy from up north. And the people up there are generally nice and extremely welcoming. Like nice and Black we talk about black people.
Yeah.
He said, you wrong for that post. Black Canadians matter too. He said, low key, I always knew that the beef was never about Drake, but about how Black Americans feel about their claim to blackness versus other Black experiences like the one up here. It's all love, but there's so many layers to this, bro. Can I be honest with you?
Yes.
I don't feel like he's wrong. I'm not. I'm gonna be completely real. I don't feel like he's wrong. First of all, there is no we're all together, we're all Black. But as a Black American, it does sometimes feel like people from outside of America want to beat us at our own game. Like there was some specific glee that was taken in the fact that Drake was the biggest hip hop artist and he wasn't a Black American, that he was coming from Toronto, and I guess that was outside of it. Like there sometimes seems to be like it feels different.
No.
And maybe that's my xenophobia. It feels different. It is. I mean, yeah. I mean, look, I'm not immune to xenophobia.
What did
but
Drake have to do to become the biggest? What did he have to do?
He had to get the Wayne cosign.
He had to pretend to be no. He had the Wayne cosign from the beginning.
Yeah.
Drake didn't start off as the biggest. We liked him. We were intrigued. I've said this before. For Drake to be the biggest, he had to emulate Black American culture. And that's the distinction that I feel like that's why I can't agree with your friend. To be the biggest, he had to pretend to be something that he is not. And part of that meant emulating a culture that you don't know. And that's a fair thing to say.
How do you feel like
it's not taking away his Blackness. Nobody's saying, I actually have an issue when people are like, you're not Black enough. You know how I feel about that kind of stuff. That's not it. Here comes the smirk. Here comes the smile. We'll pause for it. It's not that. The Drake that started out is not the Drake that we have today. And to me, Drake has piggybacked and aligned himself with Black American culture or Black American artists. And I think that's why, when people go back to, Kendrick, and we talked about this, Kendrick opened up for Drake. A$AP opened up for Drake. Well, Drake, part of that was Drake using him to big up what he was doing, to piggyback on that. I think if Drake stood alone, rapping about, singing about girls and, the loneliness and kind of the sadness and, Canadian and being on Degrassi and staying in that spot, I don't think Drake would be where he is now. He's now rapping with teardrops on his face, bulletproof vest, talking about shooting things up and hitters and all of that kind of stuff. That's not you.
Okay.
So I will always disagree, because to be the biggest, he had to be something that he is not. I'm sorry.
Okay. So
or align himself with it.
I'll point out a couple of things there that I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but things that I think. So first of all, by the time Thank Me Later dropped, which is Drake's debut, he wasn't the biggest, but it was one of the most highly anticipated major label debuts for a rapper ever.
It was.
Like Best I Ever Had already gone, I think, to number 2.
The mixtape before. The songs before really bled into that.
Right. But then not just that, but then his Young Money affiliation, where that crew was and everything. So he was on his way to being the biggest. The album was just ridiculously anticipated. That album comes and goes. It was a success, but I don't think it was quite what people expected it to be. And I actually kind of set the template for a lot of Drake albums in the future, to where the anticipation for the album sort of is a little bit more potent than the albums themselves. Like, he's not an albums artist to me. He's a song maker, not necessarily an album maker, but he's made some fantastic music. And he's put some good albums out, obviously. The next album, by the time the next album comes out, Take Care, Drake is, if not Drake's the biggest hip hop star in the world. By the time that album's run is over, Drake is probably the biggest hip hop star in the world. And if he's not the biggest hip hop star in the world, he's speeding towards that. You couldn't think of somebody at that point that was a bigger fucking deal than Drake. And that's like this. That's the second album. I think that album is actually pretty true to who Drake is. Also, I'd say this, Black American culture being about being tough and about being like having teardrops in your eyes and all of that stuff. I mean, they have that other places. They have, I guess, the criminality that's sometimes associated with hip hop and other places. I think Drake did adopt certain flows he got with certain artists. I think the Atlanta criticism that Kendrick uses is actually pretty apt. But it's not just Atlanta, it's London, it's other places. In order to maintain his run, it wasn't just Black American culture. He reconnected to Toronto culture. When Drake first came out, he wasn't using the Toronto slang. He wasn't embracing any of that. And once what he was doing before in that Young Money era and all of that stuff started to like phase out a little bit, wore a little thin, he then readopted that. He then adopted Caribbean culture. He then adopted culture from England and grime and all of that stuff. His whole Drake's Top Boy era. Trap music. There's a lot of different things that he'd adopted. The specific criticism about Black American culture, I think sometimes it resonates with us just because people sometimes with Black Americans other themselves, we've talked about this before ad nauseum on the podcast, other themselves when it's time to other themselves and then join up when it's time to join up. They'll be dressing in a way that Black Americans have popularized and then telling people why they're different and quote unquote better than Black Americans. That I think all of that stuff has to do more with why people tired of Drake than it does about anything really specific in this beef. Excuse me, the gird is girding. But then again, I don't know. Was this a beef where we were happy that a Black American dominated somebody that's not from here? Maybe it was.
I think for some people it was. It wasn't for me. I didn't think of it that way. But I think there's certain people who were, celebrating the downfall of Drake because I think people were, which I think just happens in society. I think the tide will turn again and Drake's going to be fine, right? He's going to be fine. He'll do a concert at the Forum. People will be there. He'll sell it out, whatever. People were tired of Drake. I think there just became a little bit of like, I'm a little exhausted by Drake. And this is somebody who went to his last concert.
Yeah.
I think it's just, like as of late, the last couple of albums, the behavior on social, I think we were just like, And then somebody said what people were thinking.
Yeah. And
in multiple
once again, like in boxing, they talk about obviously matchmaking, right? It's like knowing your opponent. But in boxing, matchmaking is important, but also timing is important. I'll give you an idea of this. Do you know who Canelo Alvarez is?
I do. I'm proud to say I do.
Do you know who Gennady Golovkin is?
You've lost me.
Okay. So Gennady Golovkin, Triple G as he's known, is a boxer who in the mid to late 2010s, should I say? I don't know why I said 2015s. 2015 is the mid 2010s. That's what I was trying to say. Was on his ridiculously freakish knockout streak. He was detonating everybody, just like almost superhuman power at 160, right? He fought at middleweight. Didn't speak very good English, but was an HBO staple because he was brutalizing everyone. Around that same time, Canelo Alvarez, who we know as the best middleweight fighter of his generation, is making his ascension up from 154, which is junior middleweight, where he fought Floyd Mayweather, to 160, and he's capturing belts. So what you have is a young fighter with all of these tools, right? Getting his feet wet at the weight, 160, and an older fighter, a little bit older than Canelo, but coming into his own a little bit late, that's at his peak and at his best, his most ferocious. Everyone's like, this is the big fight. Gotta have the fight. It's the fight to make. They will never say it, but Canelo Alvarez, who was being managed by Oscar De La Hoya at that time, being promoted by him, over at Golden Boy Promotions, they did something very smart. They waited. They knew that that was the fight to make. Everybody knew that that was the fight to make, but they waited. Triple G was older. So every single year, every single month, every single day that you wait to make the fight, he's a little bit weaker. He's a little weaker. His power leaves a little bit. His gas tank flushes out a little bit. He's a little weaker. Now, by the time they fought, I felt like Triple G won the first fight, but he never hurt Canelo. You know, maybe he wouldn't have hurt Canelo in 2015, 2016, or 20, whatever, but he certainly didn't hurt him whenever the fight ended up happening. They waited him out just a little bit, waited for him to get just old enough to where he wasn't quite the fighter that he was before, but he had the same name. I personally think that Kendrick did that to Drake. This could have got popped off in 18. This could have got popped off in 19. The fact that people were already tired of Drake, the fact that this is after Drake and the Meg Thee Stallion situation, the fact that this is after Drake kind of making the Incel album, this is after Drake with the barrettes in his hair, this is after Drake. This is when people were a little down on him. He said, okay, this is where I pick my battle with him. He's a little vulnerable. They asked me to be on first-person shooter. I don't want to be on first-person shooter, right? But asking me to be on the record says something. So let me tell you I don't want to be on the record. And let me tell you in front of everyone. Everyone. This is not to say that this battle would have gone any different in 18 or 19 or whatever. This is not to say that it would have gone any different. Or in 17. These guys have not liked each other for a long time. This is not to say that. But it is to say that this was the big one in hip hop, and the timing of it was as important as anything else. Because to your point, he got at a Drake that a lot of people were already getting over.
Yeah.
You know? And when I say a lot of people are already getting over, everybody's going to be like, Drake still moves crazy. He does, and he will, and he definitely will. But you know it's different. It's not the same.
It's not the same. So can I ask you a question? Because it makes me think about this. You're right. It's not the same. And the way people are posting on social media, there's still people in the comments who are diehard Drake fans and I'm not expecting everybody to turn on Drake, but Drake posted a picture after the concert, a selfie, of course, and it just says Summer League. So of course people are speculating, what does that mean? And it made me think, what can Drake do? I've mentioned earlier about turning the tide. What could Drake do? Because I thought, I only see him now in Kendrick's lyrics. Again, this is somebody who went to the concert. I like Take Care is probably my favorite Drake album. I still think it lends itself to the old Drake, but I think that's part of the reason why. But I thought, I don't know if there's anything he can do that can make me see him in any other way. Do you think? That's my question to you. What could Drake do? Where does he go from here? With somebody else.
No.
With somebody else. With somebody else. Come on. Not with Kendrick.
Start another war with somebody else. Start another movement. Do whatever. Get back to doing what Drake does. Like, we've been here before.
Not like this.
You don't think so?
this feels different. Or maybe I'm just more.
It did. You don't feel like it felt different for Meek. This feels the same as it was for Meek after back to back.
Meek is not Kendrick, and I'm not discrediting Meek. I'm not.
But I'm just talking about in terms of what I mean. I'm not talking about Meek as Kendrick. What I mean is like, man, Meek was getting destroyed after back to back. Meek was getting flamed. Whataburger dissed Meek. Now something had to happen. I think in that beef that will never happen in this one was when Meek and Drake ended up piecing it up. I don't think we're gonna see Drake and Kendrick on the same stage. I don't think that's gonna happen. This is I mean, it's not gonna be a street thing, but you have a whole city of people singing pedophile lyrics about me. I don't see how we can get past that. Drake's got to start a different situation. He's got to either wait and come back, get at Kendrick in a different way if it's going to be Kendrick, or forge something new. But like dwelling on this is not going to be the thing because this has been pretty surgical. I mean, essentially,
exactly.
LA, that was a public funeral. Like LA, like all of LA hip hop culture, whatever you want to say it, they got together and gleefully reveled in the abusing of the most popular rapper of his generation. I've never seen anything quite like it.
Exactly.
Like, we've seen people be put on the Summer Jam screen. We've seen guys but I've never seen anything quite like that. Not only that, but at the end, and this is another thing, at the end, Dot turned it positive. It wasn't just about being against somebody else. Like, a lot of those guys came on the stage together and it made you feel good.
It made you
feel good that all of this happened. Like, if Drake had to get dissed and have a bad summer to have that moment on the stage, you feel like it was worth it. you feel like it was worth his embarrassment. It was worth his names being called and whatever. It felt like you feel like all of that was worth it. If Kendrick is up there talking about how sad everybody's been since Nip and Kobe's been gone, all the little petty beefs that have been around here in LA, if it took this type of moment and this type of back and forth to get everybody on the same stage, you feel like it was worth it, man.
Yeah, it did feel like it was worth it. It did. Where do we
Toronto,
go
y'all gonna be all right.
Can I just say, when you posted the picture, you tweeted the picture of Will Smith in that empty household, that last scene from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and you put Toronto, CA. I thought the CA was California, and I thought you were making a joke.
No.
I know it's Canada, but I thought, he's like saying, this is how it feels to be from Toronto and California. I think I'm not alone on that.
Is that at that point, I actually felt sad for my Toronto brethren, man. I felt sad for them because, you know, it's a lot of Toronto people out here that was with Dot. Now, all of a sudden, everybody's talking about they mad at Drake. But I felt sad for my Toronto brethren because I couldn't imagine if hip-hop threw a let's fuck over Baton Rouge party.
Yeah. Well, and to see all your favorites there singing in unison, like your favorites were out there celebrating at your funeral. Nobody missed you. That's tough. That's tough.
But I'll be real with you, man. I just, just gotta keep it all the way gangster. Gotta keep it all the way real. Felt fun.
It's a blast.
Felt fun.
So I said, what do we do now?
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to Summer League. Top that. You gotta top that.
Whoa.
You gotta top that.
Toronto should do their own show. Toronto should do a pop-out show. They should do their own show.
You can't emulate it. You have to do something new and different. It's been done. That's what made it so great. It was historic. You can't do that. Who's he uniting? I don't know the sections.
I just wonder what happens now to some of these relationships. Like, LeBron was at the concert because I think
Having a good old time.
he was having a good old time. But I'll be honest with you, I think LeBron was at the concert because Savannah wanted to go. Savannah doesn't seem to be the biggest Drake fan. You know, I saw YG up there. Drake actually name-checked YG in one of those records. You know, I saw like Mustard. You've seen a lot of guys up there that have worked with Drake or been around Drake in the past and just wonder what it is now. I wonder if it's all gravy or if it's not or what's going to happen. The Weeknd was there. He was in the crowd.
Was the Weeknd there?
The Weeknd was there last night. Rick Ross was there last night.
I told you Rosalia was there. I was like,
I don't
look
know
at
who that
Rosalia.
is.
You don't know who Rosalia is?
Who's Rosalia?
She's a huge artist.
What kind of
Spanish artist?
What's she do? Spanish?
I don't know what to categorize her music as, but she's huge.
I'm not fucking with Rosalia. Let me see what she does. Rosalia.
Ashley, you know who Rosalia is, right?
Absolutely. She's great.
Oh, I heard of her. Wait a minute.
Like
she's
wait. The biggest
she's
stars
huge.
worldwide.
But you know why I heard? You know why I heard about her? Because she actually got caught up in some controversy. Because they say that she's Spanish, but she's doing like reggaeton music. They were like, it was some controversy about her being basically white and then doing some kind of reggae. It was like, I don't know.
Yeah,
people were talking about it.
She raps. She was in the WAP video. I feel like
in
that's
the WAP
the time.
video, whopping it up.
I don't think she was dancing. She's in the WAP video. Like she has a moment, like Normani does. She's a moment.
What's her record?
What do you mean her record?
Yeah, what record does she do?
What's the really famous song? I keep thinking of her with Bad Bunny because they have music together. But oh my gosh, there's a really popular song. I don't know. I can't think of it. I haven't listened to Rosalia in a long time. Anyways, now you know she was there. Huge.
They say that it says this. I see an article. It was a couple of years ago. It was like we need to talk about Rosalia. Like I remember that, but I never listened to her music. You know, like she's controversial. She's been out since 2019. Damn, I didn't know she's been out that long. All right, Rosalia, my nigga, say the N-word. Rosalia, say the N-word. All right, say the N-word and everything will be okay. Just go out. Rosalia should have been out there last night. Like sometimes you gotta pop out and show niggas. That's what Rosalia should have said. You know, that Rosalia nigga. Rosalia nigga. What that Rosalia? All right, like, subscribe, and share. Speaking of Drake, we're gonna talk about Birdman on the other side of this break. Louisiana is showing out, baby. What a fantastic situation. Birdman, we fucking with you, bruh. We love that. All right, on the other side of this break, Rachel, take it away.
Birdman. I feel like we haven't heard about Birdman in a while. The only time we really hear about Birdman is when we're talking about Toni Braxton. I feel like, are they still together? Do we know that?
The only time we hear about Birdman is when we're talking about Toni Braxton. What world do you live in?
I feel like I haven't heard. What's the last thing you heard about Birdman? What's the last thing you heard?
I hear about him all the time.
Maybe that's because you're connected to Louisiana.
No,
I don't.
I mean, I just hear about I hear about Birdman all the time. Okay, cool. It's fine.
Ashley, what's the last thing you heard about Birdman? I'm sorry. I feel like every time I see him, it's related to something with Toni Braxton as of late. Ashley?
The last time I heard about Birdman was I watched a video about Lil Wayne and they kissed.
It was old. Okay, it was old. Exactly. Yeah. It was old. Okay, well, Birdman's back in the news. Apparently, he's been in the news, according to Van. This time because he was speaking to some New Orleans inmates. And he implies that books won't help them. Louisiana's finest right there. Ashley, play the audio, please.
We have no access to
I have enough power to make that happen.
Okay, well, we need inside help for as leadership. For these guys having books to read upon the criminal of the law.
You think reading books on? I know different than reading books.
So the audio's a little, but he says, Birdman says, you think books are going to help y'all. Van, go ahead. Try to defend that.
Why would I try to defend it?
Because Louisiana's finest. Go ahead, man. Represent.
Look, this is my thing. We've been talking about this. You don't know what you don't know. Like, you don't. You don't know what you don't know. I'm not defending Birdman. What I'm saying here is that I personally think that moments like this are an opportunity to discuss things, right? Of course, those brothers need books. They definitely need books. Number one, they need books to be able to do something constructive
That's right.
while they're inside, right? And also, because they have a lot of time on their hands, also, they're going to need books in order to be able to understand and contextualize the world that they came from and the world that they're in and the world that they're coming back out to. Literacy and incarceration have a clear link. Some studies estimate that over 70% of the individuals that are incarcerated in America right now do not read at a fourth grade level. He was talking to a group of Black men right there. We, as in me and other people, are working diligently and desperately to address literacy issues in young Black boys, adolescent boys, and leading up to adulthood. This comes back to what people in the positions like Birdman think that they need to do in order to affect change in the lives of people. And if you think that making them smarter or making them more literate can't help them, then there's a fundamental misunderstanding from you about what gentlemen like that need.
I just don't understand. Well said, by the way. I just don't understand how you can ask someone, you're there because you're trying to connect, provide some sort of positivity, words of encouragement, and you literally pose the question, how can I help you? And they tell you. But and then you selfishly input your, not I want to say needs, but your opinion in there because you don't think it's necessary. They're telling you what they need. And you're saying, nah, you don't need that. How else can I help you? I would have actually loved to have heard the rest of this. We get this small clip. What if they are telling you what they want? You're saying no. Then what are you giving them? You can't give them their freedom. They're asking you to read, possibly to learn, yes, to have more constructive, to utilize their time in a more constructive way, possibly to build critical thinking skills. You hear the stories before about people who learn certain things, learn how to defend themselves, learn certain rights that might have been violated that they didn't understand prior to getting in jail. There's so many things that reading can do. It can generate creativity. It can help you if you're saying the statistic about being on a fourth grade level. It can enhance your comprehension, your vocabulary, your understanding. There's so many positive things. That's why I guess I made a face when you said you don't know what you don't know, because to me, this is so basic. I feel like I don't know this because I've utilized reading in this way. I just feel like it's common sense. But more than that, it's the audacity to pose a question to someone and then tell them, nah, that ain't what you want. That's what I can't get over. But okay, Birdman, is you stupid or is you dumb? Maybe we should have started there.
So the reason why I look at it, I'm a little softer with the criticism is, number one, I care about Black men. You don't. No, it's not.
Well, they'll take that and run with it. They'll take. I can't wait to get a Black man in my life.
Yeah, but we can't wait either. But but number two is like, when I say you don't know what you don't know, is a lot of times we look at brothers like Birdman as if they're uneducated. And we have to move that a little bit, right? He is educated.
Of course he's educated.
But he's educated in the things that he thinks matter as you insert them into the world that he came from, right? It's like guys that dropped out of high school or middle school or whatever, guys and women and men, they got an education from somewhere. They got an education that helped them stay alive. They got an education on how to beat the police. They got an education on how to talk to the police. They got an education on how to keep the count. Birdman has been a drug dealer for the majority of his life before Cash Money. They got an education on something, right? The question is which education system they think matters. If you ask Birdman, okay, well, like books, what is that? He's gonna say, I don't need no books. Like, I can tell you how you go get $1 million. Like, I can educate you how you go do that. I can educate you how you go into the world and you dominate in business, or you start something from nothing, or you do whatever. The problem is the education that he is seeking to give someone is narrow. And the education that comes with being a voracious reader or having more books to read is limitless. All the information for any set of circumstances is at your at your fingertips. And not only that, somebody just called me, and it was a member of Drake's crew.
It's a member of the crew.
It's a member of Drake's crew.
Text and see if they want to come on. Text and see if they want to come on.
I'll have to talk to him. I'll have to talk to him later.
They mad at you. They're mad. You want to take a trip up there.
No. A lot of my Toronto people are pissed. A lot of my Toronto
because of your
people are
tweets
pissed.
last night.
Because it's just too much jokes.
Your tweets were
too many jokes. It's too many jokes. It's too many jokes. A lot of my Toronto people are pissed. But no, and in this case, Rachel, your point is the only point that matters. Fuck everything else that we talking about. You asked the guy what he needed, and he was like, books. And he was like, what you gonna do with some books? Nigga, we gonna read them. We gonna read books about all kinds of things. We gonna read books about Black leaders. We gonna read books about how to beat the feds. We gonna read books about the law. We gonna read books for our betterment. We gonna read books for fun. We gonna read
fun,
books, man.
exactly. How about just as a form of escapism? Okay, like to let their imagination run wild.
Right.
Like, they don't have many options. Okay, they don't have many options.
The question is, when we talk about betterment and empowering people, the question comes back to, why doesn't Birdman think that reading is a part of betterment or empowerment? That's the thing. When I say you don't know what you don't know, that's what I'm talking about. We've had Kanye West talking about the fact that I don't read and saying it like it's something to be proud of. It's a badge of honor. I don't read.
Right.
Is being well-read, is having knowledge that you can pull from a bunch of different places, is that a part of what we think is betterment or not? That's the thing. Because Birdman sounds like a goddamn dumbass. Swizz Beatz and Timbaland. Big news for them. Distribution deal with Elon Musk's X. They're going to be in the Versus series back with a new major platform for viewers to watch musicians face off in a song-against-song battle. We all know Versus was a big deal. Came about during the pandemic. Some of the most legendary moments of the pandemic. We saw them on Versus. Jeezy versus, goddamn. Jeezy versus Gucci on Versus. Teddy Riley versus, they called again. Teddy Riley versus Babyface on Versus. Jill Scott and Erykah Badu on Versus. Fantastic. The question is, number one, is Versus still a culturally viable thing to where we care about it? No, there's another question. Because this Versus deal, which is on X, was celebrated with a picture featuring Timbaland and Elon Musk, and a lot of people were pissed off. Talk about it the way you want to. Number one, Rachel, are you still interested in Versus? Number two, do you have a problem with the picture?
No. Well, here's the thing. We talked about it a lot on this podcast, maybe not particularly with Swizz and Timbaland, but we constantly see, I'll speak to Black people who align themselves with problematic people or maybe an organization in the name of capitalism. This is about money at the end of the day. So I'm not shocked at all that Swizz and Timbaland are in a picture with Elon Musk smiling and hugged up with him in the middle. That I saw it and I kept it moving. That is the least surprising thing for me. I don't expect that. I don't expect them to turn that down. The money was right for them and they're willing to ignore everything else in the name of that. Also, I just feel like there's a lot of not reading the room here. Versus was popular because it was in the pandemic. I'm not saying it wasn't great. I'm not saying I wasn't on the phone with my groups of friends. We were all streaming it at the same time. Like, it was a moment. It was a moment. Keyword, not a movement. I have no desire to watch it anymore. Who's left?
Mm.
Who's
There-
left?
So here's the thing.
I
So-
guess
so-
that's my thing. And of course, there's other people you can put up against each other. I saw great versus battles. It was amazing. I just don't know who I would be interested in seeing at this point, where I'm going to take time and sit in front of X and watch the battle.
Hmm.
I'm just,
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. To me, Versus has another life, but it would have to be Versus Plus, meaning only the top people, right? By the time we got to the end of Versus, no disrespect to all of these guys, but we had Bobby Valentino and Ray J and all of those guys up on the stage and stuff. And, I fuck with Ray J, big Ray J proponent, but
Pleasure P.
Pleasure P and them. That whole Versus was a fucking disaster. It's just a fucking fact. It was a fucking disaster.
It was
all right?
funny though.
It was very funny. Now, if they give you versus battles that's like Mariah Carey and Mary J. Blige, if they give you versus battles that's, Chris Brown and Usher, or Usher and Mary J. Blige, or if they give you the top of the top, if they give you Jay-Z, Nas versus, if they give you Beyonce, Rihanna versus, people will fuck with versus. I mean, a lot of those people.
They're shows.
Yeah, they're all shows now.
Well, they didn't start off that way. Remember at the beginning, that's
Yeah.
not what it was because of the pandemic. But I'm saying they'd have to be concerts too. They'd have to keep that going for it to be.
Yeah, but I mean, for the most part, that's what Versus became after a while. If they were able to give you those, I think Versus would work just fine. Anything less than that, I don't think people would be as interested, but I don't know. The picture itself is interesting. And I'll tell you why. There's a conundrum here that exists with like Black creators and people who work in the arts and other things where you need capital, right? So I'm on X. Like I tweet on X all the time. Like I'm on X.
You do.
Right? So there are a lot of people who are X users who are critical of Swiss and Tim for doing a deal with X to put Versus out, right? I think there's an interesting part to that criticism about people being hypocrites in that way, if you think they're being hypocritical. And then there's a reality about why that picture still is inappropriate. So I'll take the criticism about the hypocrisy first. Number one, X is a perfect example of what's wrong with America. And what I mean by that is not the platform itself, but the way and the reason why Elon Musk bought it. Elon Musk is a billionaire, a mega billionaire, at one point was the richest man in the world. And the conversation on X wasn't going the way he thought that it should go, so he just bought the conversation. That's increasingly becoming a problem in America.
Yeah,
where someone that has that much money says, hey, I don't like the way legitimate conversation or legitimate parasocial relationships or interaction are happening in one. So I'll just use corporate strength to just overwhelm it. And that comes through the form of either leaning on people and making them fire people or doing whatever, or just acquiring it the way that he did. He acquired X and then he made it into a hellscape.
Yeah.
It changed it completely. Now, a purist belief of that is that the people that were on there and literally made livings on there. When I said made livings on there, I mean they're getting their art out on there. They're breaking news on there. They're starting movements on there. That those people were just supposed to leave, right? If they were being pure and they didn't want to work with or for or on a platform that was owned by Elon Musk. That's just not how America is. When you bank with white supremacy. When you go to the grocery store, you shop with white supremacy. It's too ingrained in everything, right? And a lot of people are going to say that that's like that's an overstatement. But it's really not. I encourage people to read From Here to Equality by Sandy Darity, and they're going to talk about just how important white supremacy, slavery, the legacy of slavery was to buoying the American economy and making all of these industries possible. The exploitation of working people is a part of the reality of most of the things that we buy, sell, and endeavor into. And a lot of the places you work are led by those people that have those same beliefs. So it's unfair to criticize somebody for being on X by saying the guy that runs X is an asshole. At any given point, the guy that runs America is an asshole, right? We are criticizing America while still being in America. You can criticize X and Elon Musk while still being inside of it. Having said that, the picture is still stupid, and it's still the wrong thing to do because the picture is not celebrating the deal with X. That picture, to me, is a cultural celebration of Elon Musk. It's two people that we've put a lot into, Swiss and Tim, being on a boat and drinking and pouring it up with Elon Musk. I'm convinced of something. Swiss and Tim can't know what people think about Elon Musk. I know this is the second time I've done this on the podcast.
Why do you say that?
They can't know. I don't
Why?
believe that they know what the narrative.
So you think they would be different? You think they would put it all to the side?
I would hope that they would. Now I'm not shooting bail, but what I'm saying is our OGs in hip hop, we need them to be a little bit more connected to what the narratives and the talking points are. If you go and you read the comments, once again, comment autopsy, all the blue checks. Oh man, y'all trailblazing. Can't wait till it comes back. All of the other people that don't have them, yo, what the fuck is this? This guy's the legacy of apartheid, the racist tweets that this guy's liked, the anti-DEI crusade that he's been on. Just in every way, Elon Musk, like being around people from the far right or aligning himself with the far right. Why y'all pouring up with him? Get the deal, do the deal, get the money, put the shit on the platform. An asshole owns a platform. Water is wet. Do that thing. But to be on the boat, laughing and smiling, that's a choice that you made. And that is something that to me inculcates something into the conversation. It makes it so that we're saying, okay, Elon Musk is a guy that is cool to be partying with. And he's not. He's an asshole. He's a fucking asshole. He's a fucking asshole. He is an elitist, gangster, capitalist, racist asshole. And I don't know why Swiss and Tim would want to be in the picture with him hanging out and cheesing like that. I do not know. Like, so
money
I think
over
that's
everything.
Yeah.
It's money
but
over everything.
one thing is, I mean, you say that, but the reason why I say they couldn't have known, or I don't believe that they knew, is because is Elon Musk going to say, unless you take this picture, I'm not going to give you this deal to bring Versus to X? Was the picture necessary? Did they have to do that?
I don't think that they care. I just don't. I find it hard to believe. Not only is Elon Musk all the things you just named, he's literally in current litigation with people suing him over discrimination. I can't imagine that you entered a deal and your people did not tell you this. Like, I would like to imagine that, you know, when you say you hope that they didn't know, I would hope that they would be well versed in who they're getting into business with before they sign such a big deal. I don't think the papers are put in front of them like, hey, Elon Musk wants to buy Versus. And they were like, okay, that's great. That money matches what we want. I would think that they were advised on what it would look like and still were like, no, but I bet they were probably like, we're doing this for the culture. We're using him to put for cultural relevance as far as the battles, not them personally. I could see them flipping it in that way. No. He's paying us to use his platform to showcase Black excellence. That's probably what they told themselves.
I mean, that might be what they told themselves, and that might be true. But once again, it's not necessarily the using the platform. It's the celebration of Elon Musk.
I agree with you.
Right. Biden is up. He's up according to a new Fox News poll, 5-way race. Biden is up. Looks like he holds a razor thin margin. This new poll dropped. It's released Wednesday. 50-48, head-to-head rematch of the 2020 election. It's a Fox News poll, so you would expect that this poll would be skewed to Donald Trump in some sort of way, but it is not. It shows Biden with the lead. Rachel, what do you think?
I mean, Biden's numbers are consistently going up. I was looking at a different poll No, this is the Fox News poll. Sorry. I mean, in March, he was down 5%. And
Mhm.
why are you laughing?
Nothing. Go ahead.
In March, he was down 5%. What are you doing?
Nothing.
In March, he was down 5%. in, in May, he was down 1%, and now he's up 2%. So his numbers seem to be trending upward. You could say it's because of the convictions out of New York against Trump. But I read an article that today from the New York Times that shows that although this coming from Fox News seems promising because, like you said, we would think that they would do things that are in favor of Trump. I read an article today from the New York Times that said that Biden's numbers are dropping when it comes to women, specifically Black and Hispanic women.
Black women?
That's what it said.
Wowzerly, wozerly, wozerly, wowzerly.
His
That
numbers
would
are,
be
it was
a
said,
fucking disaster for him.
it said his numbers are up in states that have abortion on the ballot. But when it comes to women, they're seeing his numbers continually decrease because a lot of women are worried about inflation, particularly Black and Hispanic women. And so that's a big issue for them. And so it's just interesting that, you know, yes, this poll is coming out, but we know that Biden needs women and Black people to come out in droves in order for him to beat Trump. So the fact that his numbers are decreasing is alarming. I hope that they're paying attention to that, but that's just really my thoughts. I mean, I'm not surprised that his numbers are going up based on the conviction and and I think that they'll continue to go up, especially after this debate at the end of the month. But just FYI, his numbers are decreasing with audiences that he's been able to win over very easily in the past.
Yeah, if he sees any significant erosion of support amongst Black women, the election is over. Now, I don't know how statistical that erosion would have to be, but if what we're being told about Black men and these numbers that they're putting out, if these numbers are in fact true, then losing any support amongst Black women seems like it would be apocalyptic. Now, I'm looking at the 538 poll right now, and things seem to be tightening. The latest YouGov poll out has Biden and Trump in a dead heat deadlock at 42%, Kennedy at 4%, West at 1%, Stein at 1%. Do you want to have Dr. West on the show? Cornel West.
Why not? Yeah.
Have him on the show.
Yeah.
Kennedy's at 4%. The debates are coming up. I wanted to do a higher learning debate watch party.
We can do that. Oh, I'll be in New York.
But like maybe we could do it online or something. Or maybe I'll just do it on IG in the name of higher learning without you.
Do it.
Higher,
I'll be in New York
higher
celebrating
vanity.
my little sister's birthday. It's the same day as the debate.
Oh, for real? What y'all gonna do?
We'll probably go to dinner that night, but my mom wants to go to The View Friday. So that Friday after the debate. So that'll be a good show. So we're going to go to The View, lunch, go to a comedy show. We love to go to comedy shows. We'll go see The Wiz while we're there as well.
How many times has your mom seen The View?
My mom's never been in person, but she watches it every day. So it's really nice when I can do something special like this. She wants to go.
So
we're
you've
gonna
been
go.
on The View as a host, and Pretty Hair hasn't made the trip.
There was always a shoot the last time she was going to come, actually. But yeah, I don't know what happened.
Pretty Hair, if you can hear me right now, I gotta tell you something right now. I want to see you make the trip to support Rachel when she's on The View. Okay. You love The
Go on.
View. And I
does.
want to see you make the trip to support Rachel when she's on The View. Pretty Hair, lovely woman. You know what I want to do real quick? I want to shout out my mom. I want to say something real fast. I said it on a different podcast, and I'll say it on this podcast right now. So I'm in the era right now. This is maybe why the GERD is coming back. These 2 months are called the era. every year I go through the era. It starts with Father's Day in June, and then there's the double whammy of July 4th with, the anniversary of Dad's death. You guys didn't see me posting any pictures, any sad ass Father's Day shit, because I wanted you guys and all the people that love me out there to enjoy their days with their fathers without having to see Happy Heavenly Father's Day. It's like it makes people feel guilty and stuff like that. It's, whatever. I didn't want to do that. A lot of people reached out and talked to me. Hey, Van, on Father's Day, I hope you know that you did whatever. Rachel wasn't one of them, but a lot of people did reach out.
I don't do that.
I know.
I think I thought about it, but I just.
Yeah.
I figure you don't want to, you're already going through it. That's just me. That's my take on it.
I get it. You're not wrong, but you still appreciate it. But I'm poking fun. But I'll say something. I gotta say something about my mother real quick, because I think that when we talked about, valuing men over women, remember we discussed that in the whole wake of the Diddy video, me getting thrown into it completely unfairly and fucked up. I think the first person that I learned to value and to put on a pedestal and to worship and to chase for approval behind was my dad, right? The toughest thing, I've said this before, I want to, the toughest thing about the entire thing was losing him or him passing away is that I don't get a chance to prove myself to him. Like whatever he thought about me and of me is locked in eternity. And it's just like he never gets to see me be a father or be a big, huge deal, or I never get to, I helped out. I never get to like fully take care of him. I never get that situation to where he looks at me and breathes deeply in and goes, "You're all right, boy." You never get that. It's gone. And whatever secrets and whatever animus, you take it to Jesus. So I've been doing that, chasing his love for my entire life. And that entire time, somebody was, I'm not saying my dad didn't love me, but I was chasing his approval. And that entire time, somebody was pouring their love and approval into me. There was somebody that like doted on my every emotion, that was there to literally curate my life in a way to make me something other than somebody who was trying to dominate people or make people afraid of me or whatever. I remember when I got into the gifted program, and I bet mom is not even gonna remember this. I got into the gifted program or we were out in California, whatever. I was going to a new class with new kids, and you ask dad, like, what do you do? And dad was like, well, make sure they know you ain't no punk. It's the first thing that he thinks. Make sure you know you ain't no punk. You go into a new class. All right, cool. You make the kids scared of you. You big, whatever. Make the kids scared of you. My mom goes, okay, you can make the kids scared of you if you want. Or you can make them want to see you coming. It's different. When my dad would walk into a room, everybody would become rigid until he set the tone. It was like he would set the tone. Okay, so if he's cool, then we're cool. Right? But if he's in a bad mood, everybody got to be in a bad mood. And so when you saw him coming, you couldn't relax. There was something that was taken out of it. My mother was like, that's not really who you want to be, and that's not who you are. You're somebody that when you walk through the door, nobody's going to fuck with you, but they're so happy to see Van. They're so happy to see you come in and sit down, and you make people laugh, and you make people feel comfortable, and you poke fun at people, which makes them comfortable. Like you adopt people emotionally, and that's the guy that you want to be. And she made it okay for me to be that. And I've valued in my life chasing my father's approval more than appreciating my mother's love. And as much as I talk about him, and as much as I revere him, and as much as I want to have that same thing that he had, that same, I don't know, air of invincibility and whatever, I already am her. Like I already am her. Like she succeeded. Like our bond and everything that we have together is so close that sometimes it makes me it brings out a vulnerability that's uncomfortable. So, after Father's Day, I just wanted to, if my mom can hear me right now, I just wanted to tell her on a random day that I appreciate, love, and value her as much as I appreciate and love and value my father. And it oftentimes doesn't seem like that, but I do. And I love her very much. And I love Momo very much. And Ebony is okay as well.
Poor Ebony.
Yeah, Ebony gets it. Oh, it was Ebony's birthday not too long ago. My sister Ebony had a birthday June 8th.
And you didn't even shout her out. Boy, you be doing Ebony wrong.
A crazy Gemini. A crazy Gemini.
We got to meet Ebony.
Well,
but that's really sweet what you said about Miss Crystal. Hi, Miss Crystal.
Yeah, I got Ebony something, and I gotta still give it to her. I got her what?
Poor Ebony.
Well, I got her a membership to Girls Play, which is a
I think we can figure it out.
It's a girls watch girls play is some of the finest and Sephitic loving that you can get on the internet. You know what I mean? Like for watch girls play, it's so some of the finest in lesbian porn that you can get, because my sister is a demon when it comes to that porn. I mean, she be on that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Let's continue.
Let's say you had, just real quick, before we go, let's say you had, like a red bean, right? Let's say you had one and it was sitting on your finger right here and you did like that. What would that be? What would you be doing? Like, what is this? What is that? When you do this, what's that called? What are you doing?
Flicking.
Okay. And if you had a red bean and it was right here, what would you be doing?
Flicking it off.
But you would be flicking a what?
The bean.
Right. So you would be what? That's what.
Why are you making me say this? Why are you making me do this? Why are you making me do this? You see, I'm trying not to do this. Let's continue. Look, you are such a child. Cut all that out. All these beautiful words you said about Miss Crystal, and then we get to flicking the bean.
Okay. Some of these stories are bummers. Rachel, what do you want to do next? Like, what do you see here? You got a couple of different things. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about Baton Rouge? Is that something you're into?
I mean, I think we have to talk about the 10 Commandments.
Oh, shit. Go for it. You can take it away since they're mad at us. The Christians are mad at us anyway. Like, all the Christians are pissed off at us.
Why are the Christians mad? The Christians should be celebrating this.
No, but they're mad at us because we said that Jonah.
Oh, they're mad at us on the bus. Wait, are they really?
Oh, the comments was like, y'all, you need to pray extra hard tonight.
Guys, first off, you literally said, I love God and I love Jesus. It was funny.
It was funny.
And you're lying if you haven't thought about it.
The one person whose respect that I want more than any person in my life right now, which is Jason Wilson for the Cave of Adullam. It's kind of like a dad figure to me, kind of like a mentor. Yeah. He kind of dressed me down a little bit. He didn't get mad. He doesn't get mad. He was like, Mr. Wilson said, nowhere in the Bible does it say that Jonah had a table and a couch.
But all respect to Mr. Wilson, we literally said, remember the animated things they used to do that showed. Yeah. We never said it was in the Bible. We said that's how, as kids, when you had the little picture book, those are the kinds of things you would see. And we're laughing about that. Never said that was written in the Bible.
It's true.
Like, guys, we were laughing. It's joking. And I'm like, as somebody who grew up in the church, I even told my parents this, and I had them laughing about it because it's funny. Yes, man is showing the picture now. As to the
You guys
time.
gotta watch on YouTube, like and
Like,
subscribe. You gotta watch on YouTube.
It's
That's
funny.
the picture of Jonah. That's Jonah right there
It's
inside
funny.
of the well.
Well,
That's Jonah. He's in the well.
Christians can be mad at us for that, even though it was a joke. Whatever, guys. Gotta laugh during these times. But you shouldn't be mad at the state of Louisiana because the state of Louisiana said, we don't care about the First Amendment. We don't care about the Establishment Clause. We're gonna do what we want to do. And they are requiring, not suggesting, not even giving you an option. They are flat out telling you that you have to put the 10 Commandments up in public classrooms. All of them has to be displayed. Now, they're not going to use public funds to do this, which I figure that that's their way of trying to circumvent the law, at least trying to. It has to be donated or it has to be raised, I believe, the money, the funds to place these posters up. But it's a requirement that they all have to be up by January 1st. The governor, your governor, Van, Republican Governor Jeff Landry, he said that he mandates that a poster-sized display of the 10 Commandments in, quote, large, easily readable font be required in all public classrooms from kindergarten to state, I didn't even know this part, state-funded universities. That means LSU classrooms will have the 10 Commandments up. Now, of course, that immediately ignites the ACLU, Americans United for Separation of Church and State, and also the American Civil Liberties Union of Louisiana and the Freedom from Religion Foundation are all planning to sue this new law where the governor said, literally, I don't care. He gave a statement in Tennessee. He was at a fundraiser in Nashville where he literally said, I cannot wait to be sued. Van, your thoughts when you saw this. Louisiana said, we don't care what the Constitution says. We're going to do what we want to do, which seems to be a trend. I should also note that other states have tried to do this. They proposed it. They even tried to water down how they were going to do it. But all of it failed in other states. But in Louisiana, it has succeeded.
So this has to do with who Jeff Landry is and who he's positioned himself to be. He is one of the Republicans on the right, the figures on the right, should I say, that has positioned himself as the heir apparent to Donald Trump. If and when Donald Trump's hold over the Republican Party comes to an end, I think Jeff Landry sees a unique opportunity to fill the shoes of President Trump at some point because of the political weakness of people like Nikki Haley and to I guess a lesser degree of political weakness of Ron DeSantis and guys like that. He is essentially using Louisiana as an opportunity to bolster his standing in the National Party by really pushing for some pretty draconian right-wing measures throughout the state. Could have a deeper conversation about Jeff Landry and what he wants to do, but it's clear that he is a new Greg Abbott type, a new Ron DeSantis type, and it's right there in Louisiana. And we had the opportunity down there to not have to deal with Jeff Landry, but we did not turn out, and that did not happen. I am partly to blame for that. I wasn't as involved in the gubernatorial race as I should have been. And that's not to say that I could have changed anything, but everybody that cares needs to care. And I wasn't as up on the politics back at home as I should have been. I mean, obviously this is going to get challenged by a lot of different people. The ACLU has already promised to challenge it. I can't see it making it through appeals without making it through the court system without someone striking this down. I can't see that. Maybe we could have Dr. Corbin on to talk about if there's...
Who's striking it down?
I mean, I would imagine that a U.S. appeals court wouldn't
This is going to the Supreme. They're going to unless the Supreme Court turns this down. This is going to go to the Supreme Court, which is why
it definitely will go to the Supreme Court. But what I'm saying is, I mean, it has to make its way through the federal court system before it gets there, right? So I'd imagine it will go to a Supreme Court, and there'll probably be some losses before they get to the Supreme Court. So, like, what I would say, I mean, I can't see a U.S. Court of Appeals really, unless I'm completely uneducated on how the Establishment Clause works and how this is supposed to go. If it's state mandated in state institutions, it's the state pushing religion on people. It's a religious text. It seems pretty cut and dry.
It absolutely. I mean, there's precedent from it. A previous court, 1980s, struck down a Kentucky law that tried to do this exact same thing because they said that there's no plausible secular purpose. And so it violated the First Amendment. That's what they have to show, is that they have to convince the court that there's a secular purpose for putting the 10 Commandments in there. And that means that its primary effect must neither advance nor inhibit religion, which it obviously advances religion by having the 10 Commandments up, forcing it in public universities and classrooms, primary and secondary classrooms as well. But this court is so unpredictable that you don't know. We didn't talk last week about the stock bumps. Is that what they're called? I'm so going to say that. Bump stocks. We didn't talk last week about the bump stocks, but the way that they went through hoops to become these technical engineers to focus on the word function when it's clear as day. We had audio that we didn't play of what a machine gun sounds like versus what a gun sounds like when it has a bump stock.
Bump stock.
Okay, I was going to say it wrong. Yeah, bump stock on it. They sound literally the same. So they're literally trying to jump through hoops to push their narrative. This conservative Supreme Court that we have would like for this to be the law of the land. I mean, this is what they would want. So who knows what type of interpretation they may say. That's why I say it's interesting that although this law is passing, they're saying, well, they're not using state funds to do it. I don't know if that's helps them or not, but it's interesting that they're not using state money and they're having it donated. I feel like they're going to try to somehow use that to their advantage. Those that are proponents of this new law that's passed in Louisiana. But this court is so unpredictable. Yeah, maybe a district court will shut it down. Maybe the Fifth Circuit will shut it down. But the Supreme Court, who knows how they'll interpret this? I mean, we've already seen what happened with the coach, but that was more the free exercise clause than it was the establishment clause.
I guess, the questions are, if it's a mandate, if you have to have it up, state funds or otherwise, what happens if you don't? Is there some sort of disciplinary action that happens if you don't do it? If it's a mandate, like, what's the recourse if you decide, hey, I don't want to put the 10 Commandments up in my school? Certainly, if this was a different religious text, a Muslim religious text, a Jewish religious text, a Hindu religious text, and someone was telling you you'd have to do it, the whole goddamn state would raise holy hell about it, holier than the 10 Commandments hell about it. And it would be like a gigantic issue about what they were trying to push on kids and on regular Louisianians and all of that type of shit. I can't imagine that it would hold up once it was litigated. But like you said, you never know what the court's going to do. I guess, once again, stunts like this and situations like this from these various political figures who are trying to convince people how American they are and how Christian they are always laughable to me, but then they're actually always something that they're both laughable and something that we should take seriously, because it shows the limit to which people will go to further their own political career. And you guys, this is just the beginning of what Jeff Landry is going to do. You're going to see stunts to draw attention to himself for the entire time that he sits in the governor's mansion in Baton Rouge. You're going to see that. You're going to see him. You're going to see some migrant deportations. You're going to see some stuff like this. You're going to see some crazy laws. You're going to see other stuff that he's already been doing. What we'll do for the next podcast, I think, is I'll run down the 5 or 10 biggest things that Jeff Landry has already done to take Louisiana backwards.
I feel like y'all have been flying under the radar a little bit more than the Texases and the Floridas. It seems like they've hit a wall. Not really. They're still fucking things up. But what Louisiana has been doing down there has been, I would love to do this on the podcast where we're going through that. Maybe I'll do Texas. Let's compare notes.
Yeah, I bet you would. Like that's what we'll do. We'll have a higher learning versus on Monday. Which state is shittier?
Let's do it.
Louisiana or Texas? I bet.
Oh, y'all want the 10 Commandments? Oh, well, we got that. We could top that.
Yeah, we make people work for 18 hours in the Texas heat with no water break.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like which state is shittier? I'm gonna win. That's the segment on Monday. I'm gonna win. Louisiana versus Texas.
Rep your
I got
city.
more shit.
Rep your state. Here we go. That's Monday.
That's Monday. All right. Before we get out of here, this is a throw at racial topic that I saw on Twitter. Love's limits. What kind of love does Rachel believe in?
That's such a broad question.
Okay, I'm going to give you the goddamn guidelines.
I thought
for the
you
question.
were done. You paused. Okay, go ahead.
Do you believe love is conditional or unconditional?
Absolutely conditional.
Okay, what's
I would like to quote my therapist on this. Love is not unconditional between two adults unless it is a parent to child or with a dog. That's what he said.
So you believe in so what are the conditions of love?
Well, it just depends who I'm in this. It's a situation with, right? Like if you hit me, that is a condition, right? Like I'm, and like you're saying love in a sense, I might still like love you, but I have to leave you because you're abusing me, right? So I almost said cheating, but it would depend. Like, who knows? Like, this is really hard to say. I think abuse in any sense of the word, emotionally, physical, mentally, that's a condition for me. Like anything that deteriorates me as a person or brings me down is a condition and vice versa.
Of course it's conditional. It's such a stupid conversation. Right? If of course, number one.
This was on Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter. Number one, you have to work to maintain the love that you have between someone. Love is something that you feel, but it's just like anything else. You have to work to maintain it. Of course, it's conditional. Like, I could be with you. If you get on that Trump shit, I'm going to fall out of love with you.
Condition.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know that's not the same with you. But if you get on, if
Brian was not a Trumper.
It's not what I heard, man.
Okay.
You could look at the January 6th video. I saw some abs glistening in that bitch.
Don't put that out there.
That would be so crazy. Let me ask you a question. What would you have done if you have found out that your significant other, forget about any one person.
Specifically,
What would you do if you found out that your significant other was at January 6th? Like you see them, right? You're like, oh shit, that's what the fuck? And then you ask them and they go, yeah, I just went with a friend. I'm not sure about the votes and whatever. I just wanted to listen to what they had to say. And then things
there would be nothing to say to that person.
Let's say you're in love. You're in love.
There would be nothing to say about that person.
You breaking up with him.
I wouldn't say anything else. I would be that meme of that black guy with the glasses and that striped shirt. I would literally be like, let me tell you who was there January 6th. I'll be notifying the FBI. I would be notifying, call me snitchel. I would be notifying their job. I would be putting it on social. Oh no.
So you are in love. You're head over heels with somebody.
Not
right?
after January 6th.
It's going well. You guys are whatever. They pop up at January 6th. Like you're not only is it over, but you turning them in.
In as many ways as I possibly can.
Nah, and then I would be on doing the media circuit.
My boyfriend, my fiance, my husband was there January 6th.
Oh,
I'll be
that'd
doing
be
the circuit.
cold. That'd be a cold
I'd
media
be wearing
circuit.
a t-shirt with the picture of him there. Oh my God.
Caitlin Collins tonight. Next, a harrowing story of someone who didn't know the person in their bed. Rachel Lindsay from The Bachelorette, you might know her as the first Black Bachelorette, very famously rode a horse down Rodeo Drive for one of the most delightful stunts that the show ever had. I know I loved it. She's going to join us next to talk about just how shocked and appalled she was to realize that her fiance was at January 6th in the Capitol. That's next on the other side of this break. That's you.
That's
And
me. They
you
cut
come
to
on
me.
there.
They cut to me to give me a little 10-second. I'm looking very somber. you know how they do it. You know.
That's you right there. And you come back. I didn't know. Like the whole thing. Who would you want to break that with? Anderson Cooper, Caitlin Collins, Abby Phillips. Who you gonna choose?
I think I'd have to go with the white man.
Yeah, that's what you said at the end of The Bachelorette.
I want to go home. Let's go.
Take your thinking caps off, but do not stop learning. I am Van Lathan Jr.
I am Rachel Lynn Lindsay. Hi, guys.